Hi everybody, this is Rostislav from Lurnby here, and today I wanted to do a quick demo of how to get Learnb set up on mobile. So it's very important in any kind of learning system that you're creating to really think about how do you make it as easy as possible for you to do the actual work, which is learning, and not so much about the admin, right? So for Learnb, this is very important, and that's why mobile is a big part of how I'm consuming content. So it was important to think about how to get that set up. So I'm doing this all on an iPhone, but the process will be relatively similar on an Android, and you should be able to kind of go one-to-one. So here I am on my home screen, and one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Safari, and I'm going to go to app.learnb.com. And then here I'm currently not logged in, and in fact, I'm going to create a brand new user, right? So I'm going to create a brand new account with Learnb. So I'm going to do Alan003. Alan is a name that I use, my testing alter ego. And so I'm going to use Alan at rch.work as my email address. And I'm going to set a password for this account, right? And then that's it, right? So I'm going to register, and then congratulations, I'm now a registered user. And then the first thing I'm going to do is log in. So logging in, actually, there's two ways if you create an account this way. So you can do Alan003 as the actual username that you suggested, or you can just log in with your email. Both work just fine. So I'm going to log in to the account. And then voila, right? So I'm in now Learnb, and essentially kind of ready to start thinking about the system. So one of the first things that I want to do is I want to make it as easy as possible for me to get here from my mobile, because all of the work that I want to be doing, the reading and everything, happens in Learnb, and so it shouldn't be difficult for me to get to the content that I want to read. And the way that I'm going to do this, again, is quite simple. So I'm just going to hit this share menu at the bottom of the screen, and then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to add this to my home screen, right? I'm going to title it Learnb, and then I'm just going to hit add. And then voila, I now have essentially an icon on my home screen that I can go and I can rearrange, and that I can move to, for instance, my front screen, so that it becomes simple and fast for me to just open it up and then end up in Learnb. So that's the first thing, right? So how to get it to your home screen so that it's pretty much always just a single click away, and then there's less barriers for me beginning to read articles and content that I'm saving to the account. Now, the next thing on mobile that's important is how do you get content into Learnb, right? So if I want to be doing all the work of reading things inside of the application, it should be relatively simple to kind of get information in. Now on desktop, we've done a few things for that. We have Chrome extensions and we have Firefox extensions that you can use to easily add content as you're surfing the web. And as well, if you have Learnb open, it's relatively simple to just kind of add content straight through the website, because those things are a lot easier on the computer. On mobile, things can become a bit more cumbersome. And so in order to kind of account for that, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this upper right-hand corner in Learnb, and I'm going to hit settings, right? And then in settings, I'm going to see an option to enable adding articles by email to Learnb. This is an opt-in feature, right? If you want to add content this way, again, you go to corner, so upper right-hand corner, settings, and then there you will see this option to add by email. So I'm going to hit enable adding articles by email. And what this is going to do is it's going to generate a unique email address specific to this account that I can send content to, and then Learnb will process that content and add it to my account, right? And so in order to also make that as easy as possible, I'm going to long press on that email address, and I'm going to add it to my contacts, right? So I'm going to create a new contact. I'm going to call it Alan Learnb email. and I'm gonna hit done, right? So now this is in my contacts and I can send information to it just as easily from my mail application, right? And then the other thing that's important to note is that down here we have this section called approved senders, right? So we don't want to just open up your account by default, and we want to have some barriers in place for how and who can actually add content in. And so you control which email addresses you can send stuff from, and this just prevents regular spam and stuff from getting inside your Learnb email. So by default, it adds in the account that you actually opened with, so alan@rch.work, but I'm going to also add another email address right now that I use quite often, which is my newsletters@rch.work, right? So I funnel all of my newsletters to a single email address so that it's easier for me to find something that I want to read. And so I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to add newsletters@rch.work as one of my approved senders, right? So at this point, there's 2 email addresses that I can send content from. And now if we go back to the main screen, again, we see that we still have nothing here. So let's go ahead and see how easy it is to add information in. I'm going to open up and I have essentially a blog post from Indie Hackers open, right, that I want to add to Learnby because I want to read it there later. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit share. From share, I'm going to hit mail. And then in mail, I'm just going to type in Alan Learnby email, right? I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm sending from one of my approved senders. And then so here's where we come into the details. So there's 2 things that you can send by email, right? You can send URLs just like this one, right? This is a link to an article on the web. Or you can send actual emails with subject lines and content, right? If I'm sending just the URL, I want to let Learnby know that, hey, this is a URL, process it that way. So I'm going to change the subject line to just say link, and then I'm going to hit send, right? Now, the other thing about that is that if I was to go here and I have this other newsletter, and let's say I wanted to forward this entire newsletter to Learnby, including all of this actual content, this is not a URL on the web. So again, I'm going to hit forward. I'm going to choose Alan Learnby email. And then here, when I'm actually forwarding not a URL, Learnby will take the subject line as the title. So I'll just quickly sanitize that, and it'll take the body as the content. And so I'm going to delete some of the things that I don't want, and then I'm going to hit send, right? So now we've done both options. We've added an article via link, and we forwarded an email to Learnby, right? And so I'm going to go back here, and at this point, I'm going to refresh my account, and then sure enough, we have the first one that we added via link. This is the Indie Hackers newsletter. I'm going to open it up, and then herein you see all of the content neatly cleaned up without any ads, without any noise. And I can do all sorts of things like process it. I can change it to dark mode. I can move it to sepia. I can change my line spacing, right? All things that I might want to do to kind of make it easier for me to read. I can take notes on this article, right? If I wanted to say, you know, this is me thinking about something, and then I can save that, right? And then all the sorts of things, right? And then I can also now come back, and then here you see the newsletter that we forwarded, paying respects to our new techno king. There you see it, right? Same thing. When I open that up, I have the actual newsletter content that's in there. My reading settings are saved, right? So I can come back to this, I can change it to dark mode, and this carries over. And then voila. So now I have essentially 2 ways. I have a simple way of adding content into Learnby, right? And this is the same, like on iPhone, for instance, you can long press on any link, you can hit share, right? And then very easily, Alan@Learnby email, make that subject line link, and then send it, right? And again, that's the same kind of a thing. So we can send URLs, we can forward newsletters, and also Learnby is right there ready for us to access whenever we want, so that content is there for us to read. So yeah, so this was setting up mobile on iPhone. I hope you got a glimpse at how relatively simple it is to get this set up on your system so that you can kind of begin to take your learning more seriously. So cool. Thanks, guys.